By Jove, he actually did it. He actually made an entire 30-minute video about me. I didn't think he'd do it. Let's see, it appears that he's mad that I didn't include more clips of his, that I didn't include more context. Well, I suppose we can fix that. Today is a good day, because today we get to react to a cringe compilation of PKrussl videos. So PKrussl, the anthropomorphic slice of pepperoni pizza that I briefly touched on in my last video, decided to make an entire 30-minute video about me. Well, me and Nas Hyena, because Nas Hyena agreed with me. Yeah, very, very normal, not at all petty stuff to make a 30-minute video about. He's having an extremely normal one. His main complaint with me is that I lied about him, even though literally nothing I said was untrue, because I didn't include enough clips of his video. Interestingly, he also claims I was stretching for time by including too long of a clip, or at least his editor claimed that. He also simultaneously claims that I didn't need to include any clips of his. And while PK claims I did watch his video and deceptively left things out, his editor just claims I didn't watch it. So that's interesting, just right off the bat there. So for the sake of fairness, you know, just to be fair, to put everything in all the context it deserves, I thought I'd take a closer look at PKrussl's video, since apparently doing so will exonerate him. My cat is meowing at me. How dare you? That's hate speech. So we will address this video in detail in just a bit, but first, let's make sure we show all the context PK could ever want by delving into his first video again and seeing how that works out for him. Let's see what happens when I watch the rest of the video.
So how did all this come about? Well, as far as I can tell, a user by the name of Pseudonym on Telegram named a bunch of names in a naming process of naming evil people, quote unquote, who are into evil things, such as the things listed on your screen.
So, are they not evil? Quote unquote evil things. Okay, that's really starting out strong here.
Isn't it weird, though, that this person who brought up all this evidence against Kero would private their Twitter account? Isn't that just so? If they're telling the truth, why would they private their Twitter account? Isn't that kind of interesting? That's like the first red flag, and it wasn't even one that happened before this video that I'm making. It happened live. Here, we've seen it together.
So right off the bat, he's just spreading lies and conspiracy theories about Mordecai here. That's nice. We're only 3 minutes in, and he's already spread a conspiracy theory that Mordecai faked it all because their account's privated. Now you see, that's interesting, because last time PK delved into a hot controversy without doing his research was when he did his video on the furry raiders, and in his pseudo-apology video he did for that, guess what? He was like, I'm sorry, Sonic Fox, I should have reached out to you first before including your tweets in the video.
If you want to discuss more, I'd love to talk about it with you. I honestly should have before including you in the video. Just let me know, my DMs are open.
But notice this time, now that it's someone who isn't as popular as Sonic Fox, now that it's someone who he doesn't like, now he's like, oh, well, instead of reaching out to them or their friends to see what happened, I'll just spread this conspiracy theory that, oh, isn't it odd they locked their account? You know what I did when I saw they locked and then deactivated their account? You know what I did? I just asked around. I was like, hey, what happened to Mordecai? And people are like, oh, they're facing a lot of harassment, so they left Twitter for now, and now they're back. That's it. You could just, ask someone, but why do that when you can just spread a conspiracy theory, you know? That's what I always say. Why fact check when you can just make shit up? Oh, wait. Oh, shit. But he didn't technically say that's what happened. He just heavily implied it, but he didn't technically say it, so I can't hold him accountable for his words. Oh, you got me. You got me again.
The anti-insult is great. It's for people who want to make sort of crude remarks in their online videos but don't really want any backlash. You do the anti-insult and you'll win every time.
His fucking teeth. Nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today.
I'm not going to be talking about the kid today after showing a picture of his fucked up snaggletooth to my millions of followers. Oh no, I guess I'm the one who looks like an asshole here, because you were just asking the question. I had to answer it for you. Ha, you got me. You got me good, Leafster.
We got some screenshots here. Let's take a look. Snake Thing says, I wish, heart. What's PA? XD.
So I was accused, or his editor accused me of stretching for time in my video, and that's, you know, that's a good insult. It's a good critique. It's really sharp. But the problem is that the criticism sort of falls apart when put in the context of PKrussl's own videos, because then it just doesn't make sense anymore. So this isn't stretching for time in this 40-minute video, reading aloud every single emoji and every tiny little detail instead of just summarizing it, but mine was for including what I felt was relevant context. You'll see this trend happen a lot when we get to the third video, the video on me. There's these great insults, like they're good, they're punchy, some of them go right for the throat, but then you're like, when you consider who it's coming from, it then just leaves you more confused than insulted. So it's like they started out really good with some nice roast, and then it just plummeted, and this is one of the reasons why. So someone accusing me of stretching for time, you know, I might take that seriously, but since it's coming from PKrussl, I can't possibly take that sincerely.
So right off the bat, red flag. This person lives in Oregon in the United States of America and does not know that PA means Pennsylvania. Okay, that's very strange. I highly doubt that a real person who lives in America would not know that. But then again, I'm constantly surprised by how stupid people are.
What is this logic? They're dumb, so therefore they're not a real person because, what, you don't think dumb people exist? So you're saying it's much more plausible that someone went through all the trouble to fake the logs and then decided to write this dialogue? Sure, Jan.
Yee, heart. So this video in question here, where he looks around in fursuit at random websites, conversation 13 September 2016. We look here, September 13th, 2016.
Ah, so I can see that this will be quite an unbiased analysis, seeing as you're subscribed to Kero. You're just a neutral arbitrator who happens to be a fan of the person that you're claiming is innocent in the title.
It is done. This is true, undeniable evidence. Kero is bad person. We look down in the comments. Die, you disgusting animal. Blah, I can't say that. They don't deserve this. Animal, nah. That's great.
Yeah, wow. Isn't it so bad for a mob of people to come to someone's video and leave hateful comments? Oh no, wouldn't that be so bad? Man, can you imagine if a mob of people did that? Just come to someone's video and leave all these negative comments due to allegations. I am glad that PK is taking such a strong stance against this, and I'm sure would never do anything to incite a mob of his own. No, sir.
This one singular message that had to be deliberately cropped, everything else had to be deliberately cropped out in order to get this one singular message. That doesn't sound in the slightest sketchy or like you're trying to mislead anyone by excluding all the context for this one single message at all.
Yeah, that just isn't evidence, and it's still not evidence when we repeat it again later in the video.
It's, once again, just one message, because nobody is good at coming up with good fake evidence. It's all just terrible fake evidence.
You know, we had the actual logs. You know, we had the actual messages that were forwarded that you could have gone and read. You could have found someone who had them and read them for yourselves. But no, you know, just preach more conspiracy theories. Why don't you? This is such like a tinfoil hat level style of argument. Like it's they cropped the images, therefore it's fake, therefore they're hiding something. Or maybe they just want to draw attention to one specific message instead of, you know, the whole fucking chat log with the woos and oohs and random fucking benign conversation. You gotta edit things down to keep your viewers entertained, but if you edit down a screenshot to just one message, you're a fucking liar.
Nobody is good at coming up with good fake evidence. It's all just terrible fake evidence.
See, that's interesting, because in your follow-up video and on Twitter and just everywhere, you've been saying, oh, I never said he was innocent. I never said that. I took a neutral stance. I said we don't know. And now you just called all of the evidence fake. All of it. 100% of the evidence all fake. But no, you never said he was innocent. Neutral stance right there.
So, allegedly, Kero just denounced and said, I want nothing to do with this anymore. Then, like, a couple days later, never mind. Let me back in, you know, red flag. Okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see why someone would denounce something and then, like, a few days later, just say, oh, never mind. Oh, remember when I denounced that thing? Yeah, no, it's just a little bit suspicious to me. Just a little bit suspicious.
What kind of rock do you live under that is a red flag? People make promises of self-improvement and then quickly give them up all the time. Have you ever heard of a New Year's resolution? Or a gym membership? Or maybe going to college for one semester and then dropping out?
I really need to stop calling people morons, don't I? I really should just stop doing that. Once again, I've assumed and made an out of you.
But no, yeah, you're right. Total red flag. Completely unrealistic that anyone would ever do something like that. You're so smart.
Take a look. It says write a message. Oh my gosh. You know what that is? Oh wow. That's exactly right. Instagram. Why would Kero take a screenshot of his Instagram picture to send instead of just sending the damn picture itself? Another one that says send message at the bottom. Once again, it's definitely not the raw image file, but how would you ever screenshot an image from an app when you can just send it? You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense.
So this is a really BS argument about Instagram. So people delete photos off of their phone all the time to save space, and it can be a little tricky to download images from Instagram. So if you're in that situation where you no longer have the photo on your phone, then it would be easier to just screenshot your own Instagram and send it to someone. That is perhaps a bit of a specific scenario, but it does seem more likely to me than someone going through so much effort to fake these and then just not going through the effort of just getting the image link. Like, they would have had to scroll pretty far back in his Instagram history to begin with, and then, like, they're faking all these logs, they're writing all this stuff down, putting all this work in, and then they can't be bothered to take 30 seconds to get the actual image. Also notice how this whole thing is an assumption. He's assuming that no one would ever do this, and that is important to note because PK really goes off about assumptions later in the video. This man does not like assumptions, let me tell you what. Fuck, coffee's good.
Jump to present day on 9/15. I noticed Pseudonym calling out a bunch of people by name. I was clicking each account to see if this was correct, and I happened upon Kero's Twitter account where he talks about his Telegram being hacked and deleted. So, okay, let's pause reading this for just a second, and let me tell you what I did. My first reaction when seeing all this, right? My first reaction when I saw all this was to make a rant on Twitter expressing my hate for Kero the Wolf. I'm just kidding. My first thought was to question everything.
Mordecai's first reaction? He made this thread 3 days after leaks came out. He compiled it after discussing the leaks and then being asked to provide more evidence, and so he said, all right, I'll come back in a few days and I'll have this thread for you. And here we are. It is so dishonest to claim that this is his first reaction when it clearly was not.
Are the screenshots real?
Yes.
According to Venus as a Bun, dumbest username I've ever seen in my life.
Dumbest username you've ever seen in your life? Oh, what's with the hostility? I thought hostility was bad.
Are people this desperate to deny the truth? Sounds like a flat earther. I mean, what's with the hostility also? What the hell? This person right here has almost 9,000 Twitter followers, and I don't really understand how people like this can become so popular in the community. These are the people who represent this fandom. What's with the hostility also? What the hell? Dumbest username I've ever seen in my life. What's with the hostility? What's with the hostility?
Wow, PK, it's you know, it's almost like you're a hypocrite.
Now, notice a little key up there. What does that mean? It's a VPN, Parker. Kero is done. Hashtag Kero is over party. Shut the hell up, you dumb What's with the hostility? What's with the hostility? What's with the hostility? What's with the hostility? What's with the hostility?
You don't like something,
once again, I've
stop
assumed
yourself
to be-
and say nothing, or say something that you do like. It's that easy.
You're just assuming.
You're drawing a conclusion when there's no conclusion to be drawn.
You literally just did that. By alluding that Mordecai locked his account because he faked it, by alluding that the chats are fake because, oh, that's not possible, that someone wouldn't know all the state abbreviations, by alluding that they're fake because they're cropped. So PK is allowed to assume all the shit he wants, but if you assume something, lock them away and throw away the key, send them to The Hague to be tried for their crimes.
It is possible to use a VPN and also be hacked. It is possible, believe it or not. A VPN will not prevent your Telegram account from getting hacked.
Well, it's a good thing no one ever fucking argued that. No one ever said he wasn't hacked because VPNs protect you from that. The argument was it would be really easy for him to fake being hacked by using a VPN. That was the argument. And as I pointed out in my video, when Kiro said, oh, I use VPN all the time, people fact-checked that and could not find any other example where he posted a screenshot on Twitter and there's the VPN icon.
So it is possible that Kiro could have been using a VPN to make it appear like he was from Iran. He could have been using the VPN to fake the fact that he was hacked, but just because he could have done that doesn't mean that that's what happened. And if you think that, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. There's
really
no
need to stop
proof
calling people
that he
morons,
used his VPN. It's possible. That doesn't mean that it happened.
You also don't know for sure about your whole red flag thing, yet you keep bringing those up. So when other people bring up things because they're suspicious, it's wrong of them because they don't know for sure. But when he brings up things that he thinks are suspicious, that's okay. I swear, this man can't go 30 seconds without being a fucking hypocrite.
It's possible that I could go to the store and take a baseball bat and beat an elderly woman to death. But just because it's possible doesn't mean that I did it.
I don't think those are comparable. One of them requires substantially more effort than the other. What the fuck is this?
It's just a really stupid conclusion to draw. There's no conclusive evidence that shows that he used his VPN to do this. So you cannot assume that he did. Because if you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, and you're treating someone who might be innocent as being guilty, which is ridiculous.
This will be very interesting later because, first of all, he's already made assumptions throughout this video. And as we go on, he will continue to make more assumptions about the same people already, and more people, my friends, me, just everyone. He just makes assumptions about everyone, but if someone else makes an assumption, well, they should just fucking kill themselves. If you're gonna be a hypocrite, Parker, can you at least be slicker about it? Like, this is just so blatant. I followed this Twitter drama pretty closely, and I didn't see anyone saying that the VPN proved he wasn't hacked. You know why? Because we don't need to prove he wasn't hacked, because we didn't make the claim. Kiro made the claim that he was hacked, has failed to prove it, and they're simply saying it's very suspicious you have the VPN icon there because that will make it very easy to fake this thing that you have yet to prove. It's the same line of reasoning he's using in this video. This is suspicious, so therefore I'm going to bring it up, and I think that it makes my side of the argument that I'm arguing for more plausible than the other argument. It's the same logic, but when someone else uses it, look at him, he just goes off. He just goes off.
This is why the United States court system has a policy of innocence until proven guilty. Because that's not how the internet works, though. You're guilty until proven innocent on the internet. Oh, I accuse you of this? Well, you have to now prove that you're innocent before people will stop harassing the hell out of you. It's ridiculous. That's not how it should be.
See, that's interesting because you accused me of lying without proof, and now I have to, later in this video, try and defend myself from that because people keep harassing me about it. Interesting. Strange how you're so, you're so big on burden of proof when it suits your needs, but then just throw it out the window whenever it's inconvenient for you. Also, Parker, you're clearly so passionate about innocent until proven guilty, so it would be safe to assume that you're an activist in ending cash bail, right? I presume you're familiar with the issue and how it keeps people not even convicted of a crime locked up simply because they're too poor to afford bail. And that bail is set based on an assumption of guilt, the assumption that otherwise, if they're not put in jail, they're gonna skip their day in court. You're familiar with all this, yeah? I imagine you frequently call your local representatives and talk about this issue. I imagine you donate to and volunteer with activist groups. Maybe you even are a member of the ACLU like I am. Because after all, if you're so passionate about innocent until proven guilty, then surely you would actually work to make tangible change into how our justice system works to make sure that's upheld, right? Or do you only get this passionate about constitutional rights in the criminal justice system when it comes to YouTubers you like who are accused of zoo sadism? Just asking. I, for one, as I said in my original video, am a big fan of innocent until proven guilty. It is very important for a court system in a just society. But in the court of public opinion, we're allowed to think whatever we want. That kind of goes with the First Amendment, where we're allowed to think what we want. My point in bringing this up is that it seems a little insincere that Parker keeps hyping on this, because I highly doubt that this is actually an issue that he thinks about and does any work towards. It seems like something he just opportunistically brought up because it would help his point.
It's also very possible and much more reasonable to believe that he was hacked and didn't know about it for a whole day until he saw that there were multiple instances of Telegram running on several different devices with different IPs from around the world. And then that's when he knew he was hacked. And it's very possible that whoever hacked Kero was able to modify Kero's messages.
How is that plausible? You don't really elaborate on that. Just how is that more plausible than Kero having actually done it?
Hi, PK from the future here. I'm editing what you're watching, but anyway, new development. Check a look at the different versions of Telegram that Kero is supposedly logged into, the active sessions right here. Take a look at the version number for the web browser version of Telegram. That is a much older version of Telegram than the current web browser version, and same with the Android version that we have there as well is much older than the current Android version. So that opens up a new possibility where some type of hacker would be using an older version of Telegram with more vulnerabilities, which would make it easier to hack into someone's account and change everything, change metadata, so on and so forth. So, just a possibility. I thought it was interesting.
So you consider all these possibilities, which is good, but interestingly, you just never consider the possibility that Kero's screenshots are photoshopped, or that his deletion of his tweets counts as evidence. You ignore those possibilities, but you are very quick to accuse other people of being guilty because they privated or deleted their tweets. You're very quick to accuse other people's images of being photoshopped. But when it comes to Kero, instead, you list off all the possibilities that support Kero's statement. What was that again about you taking a neutral stance? Because I'm really not seeing it here.
Everything I'm about to say is speculation on my part. It's not necessarily true. It's what I think is most likely and most reasonable to be true.
So it's all speculation, but you're unreasonable if you don't agree with him.
I went ahead and boosted the contrast and lowered the brightness of this image. And take a look. You can see the artifacting around all of the letters is very boxy. What does that remind you of? Oh yeah, that's right, the square select tool on Photoshop or GIMP. What I believe happened here, that whoever exposed these screenshots had a blank white canvas behind, because look at that. Parts where it's white has zero artifacting. If this whole image was the same resolution throughout the whole thing, you would expect the same type of artifacting to be throughout the entire image, but that's not the case. I believe that this person stitched together every single screenshot that was presented here. Because look at that. You can make a perfect selection there and drag a 23 October 2016 and just paste it in here, type up some text in Microsoft Word, square select it and drag it in here, you know. It's very convincing until you look at it like this. And it's very clear that it looks very doctored.
All right, now I glossed over this in my video because I just didn't want to spend time on it, but I feel like it's worth going back to. What the fuck are you talking about? That's not how Photoshop works. Like, have you used the text tool? Probably the simplest tool in all of Photoshop. What? Yeah, just make a selection and then drag it and then you get Microsoft Word. I know how computers work. No, you just hit the text tool and then click where you want to put text. And then you put text there. What are you... I mean, this doesn't... Just sort of regardless of the Photoshop claims, it's a little embarrassing how little he understands about Photoshop. You type it up in Microsoft Word and then drag it. What are you talking about? Now, PKrussl called me out for misleading my audience by not including a specific clip of his. Ironically, he also claims I included too much of that clip, but nonetheless. So here is the deal. I knew that my video was going to be long because it would be covering a lot of information. And so I tried to condense it where I could. This is why, unlike PK's style of video, I didn't read every individual single tweet. I'd summarize the tweets and throw them up on the screen so people could pause and read them if they wanted to. So similarly, I included very little of PK's original video. There were only 2 specific points in this 40-minute video I wanted to address. I could have spent all this time on the video, but my video was about Kero, so I didn't want to spend too much time on PK. The first thing is the one about Photoshop, and for that one, as you may remember, I didn't even include the audio. I just summarized what he was doing, showed a small clip. I mean, that one we went through really fast. But for the timestamps one, I wanted people to understand what specifically PK was arguing, so that when I debunked it, people would know, like, what specifically I was saying. See, what I was worried about is that I would say, oh no, you can't edit timestamps because the messages were forward, so that theory doesn't make sense. And then people would be like, well, PK showed you can, so what are you talking about? So I wanted to show that in all of its context. But this is where I fucked up. I came in, got the 2 clips I needed, and then got out. I skimmed the rest of the video, because again, I only want to respond to 2 specific things, so I just kind of skimmed through the rest. So no, I didn't see immediately what he said after the clip I used, because all I wanted was a clip of him changing the date on his computer, so I could say, this is what I'm talking about, here's why that's not a plausible theory. So that was my bad, and I apologize for that, because it did make it seem like PK didn't understand how the servers work. But 2 things are interesting about this. One is that PKrussl thinks that this next clip, the one I forgot to include and should have, or mentioned at least, he thinks that this next clip actually exonerates him, when in fact, the argument he presents after it actually makes him look worse. Making me wish I did include it in my original video, like fuck me. This would have been great. You'll see. I mean, this is gold coming up. But no, it was my bad. I wasn't thorough enough in my research, and I fucked up. And I made it seem as though PK didn't know about the server thing. When he did, he didn't seem to know the full extent of it and the implications it had on his other arguments, as I'll explain in a second. But I did make it seem like he didn't know that stuff, which I didn't intend to do. So that was wrong of me. That was a mistake. I apologize, and it's perfectly reasonable criticism. However, the second thing is that PK continuously asserts that I lied about him, when I literally said nothing that was untrue. I mean, me and my friends on Twitter were trying to find the specific thing they're saying I lied about, and him nor his fans could give us, you know, a specific untruthful thing I said. Due to my careless omission, it was misleading, but lying, I mean, it's just not. So PK has no proof that I purposely inaccurately represented him, yet instead of applying this whole innocent until proven guilty thing, apparently I'm guilty until proven innocent. Isn't that interesting? When it comes to people PK is a fan of, like Kero, it's innocent until proven guilty. When it comes to people he doesn't like me, it's guilty until proven innocent. Not only did I not actually say anything untrue, but it wasn't intentional. I was trying to be so brief that I didn't include an appropriate amount of contextual clips from PK's video. A fuck up worth criticizing, but a lie? Come on. Now back to what I said a moment ago, where I said this excluded clip doesn't actually exonerate PK. In fact, I wish I included it in my video, because it's really embarrassing. Let's watch this together.
Another possibility is that whoever got into Kira's account used Telegram itself to fake the date and time of the screenshots. Here's how. Watch this. I'm going to type a message into Telegram. Right now, it is 4:19 a.m., Thursday, September 20th, 2018. So, what's our message here? Test. All right, you see, September 20th, 4:19 a.m. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out Telegram entirely. It's still running down here, so I need to close it out completely. Quit Telegram. Now I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go to my time language. I'm going to turn off set automatically. And I'm going to change my date time. We're going to make it July 9th. We'll make it 1989. The time will be 12:39 a.m. Now Windows believes it is Sunday, July 9th, 1989. Okay, let's reopen Telegram, shall we? Look at that. The message that I sent earlier now says July 9th. And if we click on it, July 1989. So this is a possible scenario. Now, when you spoof the date and time like I just showed you, it's client end. That means that I am the only one who sees the spoofed date and time. If I send a message to someone else and my computer sent to 1989, it'll look to me like I sent it in 1989. The receiving person, it'll look to them like they received it at the whatever time their computer set at.
This is a possibility. So this is the thing I was fact-checking. Was him saying this is a possibility when it objectively isn't. And in fact, later in the video, he repeated it again.
There's multiple different possibilities for what could have happened.
Meaning that despite acknowledging how server timestamps work, he clearly didn't make the connection that information completely invalidates his previous argument. And him repeatedly saying, this is a possibility, is objectively untrue, as I have already proved in my video. Now, when we get to his response video, we'll see how all of that just went straight over his head. But for now, let's just put that on the back burner. So PK is all up in arms about me leaving out something that doesn't even make a difference overall on whether he's correct or not. It made him look like he didn't know something he did, and again, that's totally reasonable to criticize, but it doesn't make an actual difference in my argument. You want to know the argument he made that I left out? You want to know what killer argument he made that I didn't include? This is what he wanted you to see. Take a look.
A lot of people are saying, oh wow, it's impossible. Oh my gosh, it's impossible to hack a forwarded message. That's completely the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
What's with the hostility?
Everything that is technology is hackable. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is hackable.
All technology, huh? Do you know what the definition of technology is? Can you hack a wheel? Can you hack a newspaper?
Telegram is extremely unpopular. It's extremely unpopular. Remember the Nintendo Switch? The Nintendo Switch was thought to be completely unhackable. Turns out all you need is a paperclip to hack it. How do people discover that? The Switch is so popular, everyone has one. That means it's in the hands of a lot more hackers. They're able to figure it out a lot more easily and swiftly because there's a lot more hackers that have access to it. Telegram is different. Not many people use Telegram because it's extremely unpopular in the grand scheme of things.
So this is quite possibly the biggest self-own I have ever seen. And I wish I didn't skim through his original video because I would have loved to have included this. So let's just check what extremely unpopular means in PK's eyes. So Telegram has 200 million active monthly users, and PK says that's extremely unpopular in the grand scheme of things. And, sure, fair enough, it's less than, say, like what WhatsApp's user base is. But then he compares it to the Nintendo Switch and says the Switch was hacked, and by the way, hacking the Switch and hacking into Telegram servers are two completely different things, as I'll demonstrate in a moment, but because the Switch is so popular, everyone has one. Okay, so how many units has the Nintendo Switch sold? Oh, 20 million. So according to PKrussl, 20 million is a larger number than 200 million. That is an actual argument he just made. And this man is so obtuse, he actually got mad that I excluded this from my video. Yeah, PK, the fact that you can't tell which of these two numbers is bigger really exonerates you. Fuck me for making you look bad. You would have looked so much better had I included this. 200 million is extremely unpopular, not in the hands of many hackers at all. But 20 million means everyone has their fucking hands on that. Every hacker in the world has a Switch, but Telegram, never heard of it. This fucking man, cannot grasp the concept of the size of numbers. But Mythic, he probably just didn't look it up. It's not that he doesn't understand numbers. Oh, that's so much better. So what you're saying is he was lazy. What took me 2 minutes to Google, probably less actually, he couldn't be bothered to do. You know how many times in this video PK whines about people jumping to conclusions and not doing their research and making assumptions? And yet, despite how he claims he spent hours researching this video, he couldn't even figure this out. This is what happens with arrogant people. He's so sure of himself that he doesn't even think, maybe I should fact check this and see whether the Switch really is more popular than Telegram. He just throws out random assertions without any evidence, without ever looking into it, because he's just so convinced he's right. PK repeatedly claims he's just searching for the truth and that he's like this neutral investigator, yet here he is telling his audience that 20 million is a larger number than 200 million. Really, just searching for the truth. Are you sure about that? Now, if you think this is PK's only demonstration of his stellar math skills, then just you wait until the next part. If you thought he didn't understand numbers now, wait, you got a big storm coming.
So it might seem like, oh, no one's ever hacked Telegram before. That doesn't mean it's not hackable. It is not even at all remotely impossible to hack Telegram. If someone can hack into Kero's account, don't you believe that they might also be able to change the metadata of messages, I mean, it just makes sense.
No, because gaining access to someone's phone or their account is a lot easier than hacking the Telegram's own servers. It would also be a major news story in the tech world if Telegram servers were hacked. It just makes sense. And here we have PK demonstrating once again he doesn't seem to understand how numbers work. You know why? Because if you hack into Telegram servers, which is one thing on its own, you know what you need to do next? You have to have any effect on messages to change metadata. You need to do some decryption. You know how hard that is? Telegram uses 256-bit encryption on its messages. And I don't mean its client-to-client end encryption it uses for secret chats. I mean on its normal client-to-server messages, 256-bit. You want to know how plausible it is to decrypt that by brute force? Here is a great 5-minute video by probably the best mathematics YouTuber out there, 3 Blue 1 Brown, about just how secure 256-bit encryption is. I implore you to quickly give it a watch so you can fully appreciate the scale of what we're talking about here and understand the lingo he's using, but if not, let me just cut to the chase for you.
So even if you were to have your GPU-packed kilogoogle per person multiplanetary gigagalactic computer guessing numbers for 37 times the age of the universe, it would still only have a 1 in 4 billion chance of finding the correct guess.
So even if you were to have your GPU-packed kilogoogle per person multiplanetary gigagalactic computer guessing numbers for 37 times the age of the fucking universe, it would still only have a 1 in 4 billion chance of getting the correct number. So yeah, PK, it's technically possible, but it's also technically possible that the Queen of England's corgis will gouge out her vagina while she's taking a shit and then shortly thereafter spontaneously combust. That's technically possible. But if the Queen of England were to die, I would be a pretty big dumbass if I argued that that was the most plausible cause of death, wouldn't I? I almost said plausible. I didn't get it, but that was a mistake. So yeah, they could have hacked the servers, which is very implausible in itself because Telegram's a highly targeted platform with a lot of security. But even if a hacker did that, guess what? Now they need to decrypt those messages before it could possibly be edited. Also, as I argued in my video, though PK conveniently left out in his response video, if you're good enough to hack Telegram, why are you only using it to make some furry vlogger look bad? Like, I heard the GRU is hiring, dude. Of all the people who use Telegram, from journalists working in authoritarian regimes to ISIS, you're telling me this world-class hacker not only hacked into Telegram without Telegram or the press noticing, apparently, not only breached 256-bit encryption, but on top of all of that, they did it for free and just to make a minor furry celebrity look bad? Really? That's your argument, PK? That's more probable than Kiro having just actually fucking done it? How exactly is this you taking a neutral stance? Because I'm not seeing it. Now, I should have brought this up in my first video, but I just assumed that people knew that Telegram used encryption because it's Telegram's selling point. So I didn't feel the need to clarify that by hacking, and I also meant you're gonna need to decrypt it afterwards too, because it's Telegram, and I just thought that was obvious. But so are you glad I included this now, PK? Are you glad everyone has the full context? See, it's weird because I included more context, and my argument is still correct, and your argument is now extra wrong somehow. Pretty impressive, good show. It just makes sense. PK, please learn to shut the fuck up on topics on which you know nothing about.
Let's also not forget that pseudonym was also deactivated at the same time that all this was exposed. Like, what convenient timing that is, you know? Expose someone and then deactivate your account. Not to mention the hacker also deactivated Kiro's account. So
again, with another conspiracy theory with no evidence to back it up.
Everything is just a little bit too convenient in favor of the hackers.
Oh, but it's not convenient that Kiro was hacked mere hours after the leak. It's not convenient that Kiro was using a VPN. But it is convenient that Mordecai deactivated their account. It is convenient that Pseudonym deactivated their account. You are so clearly not even attempting to approach this in good faith. We see you following Kiro on Twitter. We see you subscribe to him on YouTube. The amount of double standards you're applying shows that you almost certainly went into this situation with an agenda.
Zinni, the person behind the Zabi Vaca video. Burning bridges? Yes, Papa. Content warning, trigger warning. This is bad. I'm still processing all this, and it took a lot to convince me it's real. Oh, like someone telling you that it's real. You didn't think for a second that it's possible, it's possible that maybe a hacker was behind all this, like I just described previously in this video. No, that's not. It was, someone said it's true. It is true. That's just how it goes. What's with the hostility?
So that's just a complete straw man. Zenny never claimed that. Also, we already know all the hacking claims are BS. We knew that at the time Zenny made these tweets. You're just too mathematically challenged to have figured that out yourself. But no, please just roast this random person for no reason. Mr. Stay Positive, Mr. Why all the hostility? Oh yeah, don't actually argue with Zenny on Twitter. No. Because then she'd have a platform to respond to you, and people reading the conversation could see her replies as well as yours. No, be a pussy and make a video about it, so that way all your fans can back you up and reaffirm your opinion, and then they likely won't see any response Zenny might have.
He wasn't hacked. How can you even make that claim? How do you know that he wasn't hacked? Do you have proof that he wasn't hacked? Do you have proof that he wasn't hacked? Do you have proof that he wasn't hacked?
Do you have proof he wasn't hacked? Kero claimed he was hacked. Kero did not prove that he was hacked. The burden of proof lies on Kero. Burden of proof is a fun meme, according to you, yet for some reason, you think the burden of proof is on everyone else to prove that Kero wasn't hacked.
Do you have proof that he wasn't hacked? This isn't a game. You don't get to accuse someone of being these things on your screen, and then they have to prove that it's not true. That's not how it works. You have to prove that it's true in the first place. If you can't prove that it's true, innocence until proven guilty. That's how it works. It's not just a game. You have no proof that he wasn't hacked.
And you have no proof that he was. Less than 60 seconds ago, you were whining about burden of proof, but now you're doing the exact same thing, you pathetic hypocrite. Yeah, very, very fun meme indeed, PK.
It's very plausible and very reasonable to believe that he was hacked. It's not out of the question at all, given everything that we've seen. He wasn't hacked. This goes back to 2016. It's been checked. The timeline adds up with him talking about his YouTube videos he's making. He even talks about his dead dog in these chats and admits to blah them. Once again, you can easily fake dates for screenshots. It's not that hard to do. I just showed you how to do it.
So tell me again why including more of your clip exonerated you when we have you here repeating the same falsehood you were repeating before, the same thing I fact-checked you on. You're still wrong, and now that I've included more clips, you're still wrong. In fact, you look even more wrong now, making me wish I included them to begin with. You're right. You got me. Well played.
This guy is scum. Yeah. It appears that way if you take everything at face value, but if you, think for a second, you might be like, wow, that's actually kind of shady evidence there.
And if you just think for a second, you might realize that 200 million is in fact a larger number than 20 million. So, there's just room for self-improvement all around here, isn't there?
There's multiple different possibilities for what could have happened, but I'm just assuming and making an ass out of you and me that Kero was behind all this.
And yet you keep assuming Mordecai made it up because they locked their account, so it's okay when you assume, but not when others assume. Got it. And later in the video, he's gonna keep assuming things about Zenny. He just goes on like, oh, it's so bad to assume, and then he does it all the time. It's like, if you're gonna be a hypocrite, can you at least try harder? Like, when I was taking notes to write this video, it was fucking easy. Every 30 seconds go by and he says something hypocritical.
Okay, but do you have proof that they're real? Can you prove that this is actually Kero and not a hacker that is behind all this? If it's fake, someone went through years of effort making chat logs and images, speech patterns, and personalities. There's just no reasonable way it's faked. You're saying, oh, it's possible someone could have faked it, but it would have taken a lot of effort. Therefore, it wasn't faked. That's not how it works.
She is using the same logic as you are. You just argued that he was likely hacked because you see that as more plausible. You just did that. And here we have Zenny arguing that they're real because in her view, that's what's more plausible. It's the exact same fucking logic that you're using. And yet you're so angry about it. Once again, it's okay when PK does it, but it's just the most abominable thing in the world when someone else does it.
It is totally possible that someone faked it. Someone hacked it and faked all the chat logs. It's that simple.
It's just so simple. It's just so simple to decrypt 256-bit encryption. So simple. I'm PK. I'm smart.
It's totally possible that could have happened, which means that it's impossible to confirm for 100% sure that Kero is behind any of this, because it is possible that hackers are behind it. You can't just assume that someone is guilty. You can't do that.
I hate to keep bringing this up, but yeah, and yet you assumed Mordecai was guilty. You assumed I was guilty, so on and so forth.
Jesus Christ. Kero, wildlife fursuits, bad dragon, so many high-profile zoo animal in this fandom. This really needs to stop. Oh great, bad dragon 2, wonderful. Once again, just believing what a rando comments on one of his Twitter threads without doing any research at all. Just believes, oh, bad dragon 2, oh my gosh. You said it, so it must be true. This is who we're dealing with.
Some rando? Zenny and Rai fucking know each other. She trusts Rai, her fucking friend, to give her accurate information. Like a normal person. But instead you just lie about the relationship and use that lie to make Zenny look as bad as you can. Where have I heard someone make a similar argument before? Wow, it's almost like you're a massive hypocrite, PK. I'm starting to get that vibe. Listen, I don't know how your relationships are, but I don't automatically assume all my friends suffer from pseudological fantastica. like a normal person.
This is pretty much everyone who's been vocal about this situation, by the way. A lot of furries have just kind of blindly believed all of this without doing any research at all, without thinking critically, without anything. And it's really, really disappointing. It's disappointing to see. I mean, seriously, the whole community, I'm just disappointed in everyone that you all just jump to conclusions no better than the animation meme community. Ridiculous. It's just disappointing and it's disheartening that this could easily happen to anyone. You can be accused of something, and if they can't disprove the accusations because they're too goddamn open-ended, then they must be true, even though you can't prove that the accusations are true either. It's impossible to prove either way. So we just assume, and don't get me wrong, it is impossible to prove that these accusations aren't true, but we have to assume that they are not true until they are proven 100% true. Otherwise, we risk being wrong and ruining someone's life who may be innocent. You see how that works? That's why we have the concept of innocence until proven guilty. While it might be possible that it's all true, it's much more likely that Kero was actually hacked, that all the screenshots were hacked, were faked, were photoshopped, something along those lines, and that it's all just not real. It's just someone who hates Kero, wants to make him look bad. Yeah, you got an interview with Shane Dawson. Oh, that should have been me. I'm destroying you. It's impossible to prove anything, which is why we have to assume that Kero is innocent. Anyone who believes otherwise is making an assumption of guilt. There's no other way to come to that conclusion than assuming something. And if we're gonna assume anything, it has to be innocence, because otherwise you risk being wrong. Let's assume you're working at a grocery store, right? You're the only employee there with your manager, and that you're the only two people in the store. It's around closing time. Bad storm outside, okay? The power goes out, and when the lights come back on, your manager is laying on the floor, dead. A shelf had fallen over and crushed your manager. You are charged with murder, even though you didn't do it. What really happened was your manager bumped into the shelf, causing it to topple over onto your manager. It was your manager's own fault, and they killed themselves inadvertently. But you see how that kind of sucks? Someone who didn't kill someone would be charged with murder. That's why if you can't prove that the person killed the other person, they're innocent until proven guilty. That's why we have that. It is possible that the cashier, which is you, could have killed your manager. Totally possible. That doesn't mean that it's true. It's the same thing with this situation. You can't just assume, or else you risk being wrong in the worst way possible and ruining someone's life.
Charges and convictions are not the same thing. In fact, there's a very substantial, important difference between them. Kind of fundamental to know.
But the screenshots can be faked. Yeah. Okay, so you acknowledge they can be faked. There's a possibility that they can be faked. That means that it is not 100% able to be confirmed that Kero is behind this, because there's a possibility that he's not, but you're just assuming that it's him, even though there's a chance that it's not him. Okay, but it's not like a grabbed random from the internet. This is screen grabbed directly from a Telegram chat dump with like 9 people involved, going back years with timestamps and direct links to Telegram users. Thank you, random furry. Well, you're welcome, because this random furry thinks you're a moron.
Oh look, calling someone a moron again.
I really need to stop calling people morons, don't I? I really should just stop doing that. Once again, I've assumed and made an out of you.
But it's so unreasonable that someone would ever commit to something and then days later decide to give it up, right?
I mean, seriously, I just showed you how you can easily fake timestamps.
You didn't show us any shit because you're too much of a pussy to just actually reply to her.
The direct link to Telegram users, yeah, he was probably hacked.
So even if you were to have your GPU-packed kilogoogle per person multiplanetary gigagalactic computer guessing numbers for 37 times the age of the universe, it would still only have a 1 in 4 billion chance of finding the correct guess.
Probably hacked. No, Occam's razor says it's just him. Math says it's just him. So please explain to us how exactly it's probable. I would really love to hear.
My buddy Carnith here says no one would ever go to such lengths to make fake chats. Have you met furries? 90% of us have no blah lives. You're telling me you can't think of at least one fur so resentful to anyone doing better than themselves that they really wouldn't create drama for attention? Really?
If they wanted attention, why the fuck would they lock their account? They did this for attention, yet they locked their account because of all the unwanted attention. Galaxy brain takes here. You guys are just geniuses, honestly. I wish I was clever as you two. I don't know how you do it.
It is totally not out of the question that someone would have done this out of malicious intent, and they would have taken the time to do it. and it's worked.
No, really didn't work. He barely lost any subscribers, both now and at the time your video was made. And at this point, his Patreon is actually making more money somehow. I mean, I know you wouldn't know that when you recorded this, but I'm just saying he wasn't even hurting at the time that much.
To sum it all up, everyone who just believes accusations like this without even doing any little bit of investigation at all, nobody has asked Kero about any of this.
Yet, you just assume they didn't do research simply because they came to a different conclusion than you. In peer-reviewed scholarly papers, academics frequently disagree with each other. Yet that doesn't mean that one party didn't do research. You know, maybe if you didn't drop out of college to go live out of your car just so you could be closer to Disney World, you might know this.
Everyone who just blindly believed it like that, I'm completely disappointed. Let's get serious here. I never get serious, but I'm just disappointed. Plain and simple, I'm disappointed in every single person who was involved in this. I'm just disappointed.
You keep repeating this like it matters. No one in the fandom was looking for your approval. PK, you joined like a month ago. No one cares that you're disappointed. Oh no, whatever will we do? The person who recently joined the fandom and constantly insults it has disappointed us. I'm heartbroken.
You're all being ridiculous.
No, they aren't.
You're about to ruin someone's life.
No, they aren't.
I don't think you all understand the gravity of the situation.
Yes, they do.
If there was conclusive evidence that all this is true, of course, we'd want Kero to go down, go to jail.
Jail and prison aren't the same thing. Weren't you just lecturing us about like the criminal justice system? Like they're very different actually.
Imagine if this was you, right? You couldn't even defend yourself. You wouldn't even be, because people would just be like, oh, the proof is there, even though it's not. I'm very disappointed in the entire furry community, and it's really left a bad taste in my mouth. And I get that everyone who has just believed this blindly, I get that you're all doing it with the best of intentions, right?
You have been lambasting them this entire time. It's a little too late to change your tune. Like it's a little too late to walk back those statements.
But it is mob mentality at this point. It's mob mentality. You can't just believe stuff without doing any sort of research. What I'd ask is if Kero is actually bad, let's see the proof, the real proof, not doctored, not possible to be hacked.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So if hacking is even in the realm of possibility, you won't accept evidence. You keep bringing up courts, yet they don't use that kind of standard, PK. You know what they use? They use beyond a reasonable doubt, which in this case it is. It is not reasonable to doubt that Kero did it simply because this is technically possible. You are a cataleptic. And of course, operated on a catalepsy, no one would ever be convicted. Are you just looking for the truth, or are you trying to do PR for Kero? Because I can't tell. So that's the video. So I hope you enjoyed that, Parker. I hope you're satisfied now that I've included all the relevant context. I think it really made you look good. Yeah, I mean, I'm the dumbass here. 20 million truly is a larger number than 200 million. This is a totally plausible scenario, and everyone who disagrees with you is either part of a conspiracy to bring down some only slightly relevant furry vlogger, or they didn't do their own research. Yeah, you very solid arguments all around. I truly see the error in my ways now. I'm so glad you wasted 40 minutes of over 100,000 people's time with that. You truly are just a very productive member of society. But wait, he apologized. Oh, okay, well, no, he didn't, first of all. But in the sake of fairness and not taking PK out of context, let's delve into this next video, shall we? Oh my god. Fuck this noise, I need more coffee, hold on. My cat, there are like 3 lights here, a tripod, and now a cat. How am I'm gonna have to crawl into, this is ridiculous. God, I'll be right back.